Hello. It's hard to follow Michael. He's got so much enthusiasm on the whole thing, and I'd like to say that when you got it figured out in Maryland, let us know in Minnesota because we've got the same issues. There's very little as far as egress and access, as far as written, as far as what we're supposed to do. The way we basically end up doing it is we leave it up to the contractor and to come up with plans on how to handle it on his project, and our project engineer out there reviews it and approves it before he puts it out on the road. So, I mean, that's as far as we go for specs and the whole thing. I'm here to talk about intelligent work zones, and that's probably just a Minnesota buzzword. Most people call it ITS and work zones or smart work zones. Somewhere along the way, we decided that intelligent work zones was an easier way to talk about it. Big problem we had is that in Minnesota, when we're trying to get our designers and project people, project engineers, to include some type of intelligent work zone system into the project, they had no idea what the heck they were. We forced a couple of things out there, a trial basis, and they liked them, and then they ended up saying, okay, well, the first thing we tried, and you probably heard about it, is the dynamic rate merge system. Well, that kind of became the smart work zone buzzword, is dynamic rate merge, so whenever they wanted something that was a smart work zone, they called it, we need one of those rate merge systems, even if they want travel time or anything else. It just kind of ended up being a buzzword. So my boss told me to, whatever. We created the IWZ toolbox and basically put together all the different ideas that we could come up with and tried to standardize terminology as much as we possibly could, at least that when these designers could pull this thing out and they say, we want one of these, and we talked to them on the phone, they tell us what page it was on at least. And it was a brainstorming tool. That's what they used it for. They came across a problem, they'd look through that thing to see if there was something in there that might possibly solve it for them. So, well, as far as the book goes, the first version came out in 2007. The 2008 is online right now, and 2009 version is in my head right now, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll get some major revisions to this thing. But we try to put just considerations, things to think about. It's not very scientific or engineering as far as manuals go. There's no formulas in there, but it'll give you a base idea on what we think these intelligent work zones ought to do for you. If you put one of these in, these are kind of the benefits you should be trying to get out of it. While we were doing it, we've the toolbox itself has been out for a couple of years. ATSA came out with their version and basically, with our permission, stole some things out of our toolbox, so they gave us credit for it anyhow. But that is their brand new booklet out. You can get that online. And then FHWA also has put out a publication that lists a lot of benefits for different intelligent work zone systems. Give you an idea what these things are, at least in Minnesota. Slow speed advisory is one type of system we've used. I'd like to say that these were pictures of systems we had, but they're not. We didn't actually have a picture of the sign that we put on our system. But basically lets people know what the speed is a certain distance ahead of them. So if they're coming upon a work zone, it'll basically say, that 5 miles ahead, traffic down to 30 miles an hour. It lets them start coasting a little bit. It's taken out the panic stops. You see a whole lot less brake lights, coming on because people are kind of anticipating, they're kind of coasting into the work zone. Dynamic late merge I mentioned, that's basically where we try to keep everybody in both lanes all the way up to the merge point. We cut the length of the queue in half, and telling them to take turns when they get down there. It actually works. I don't know if it's just Minnesota nice, but they do take turns. Where without these things, you've got road rage going on. Everybody figures that they are in the right lane, the correct lane, I should say, and when they get down to the merge point, they are battling it out, or they'll hog both lanes and figure they're going to try to straighten everybody out and make them follow them. So putting this stuff up there, it actually has solved the problem in quite a few projects we put it on. Travel time, travel delay systems. You've all heard about those, but they're two separate things, at least in our mind in Minnesota. Travel time, at least the guys in our traffic management center who do it on a daily basis, calculate travel times around the Twin Cities area, claim that they cannot calculate travel time accurately for more than a distance of about 10 miles. So from wherever you are to about 10 miles away, they can tell you how fast or how long it's going to take you to get there. But anything beyond that is voodoo science or whatever, and they don't even want to measure it. So we've taken that to the point where if we've got a construction project that's beyond 10 miles away from you, preferably more like 20 or so people aren't too much confused about it, that we switch over to a delay time system. As a picture, down here, this is the delay time. Well, okay, so travel time. This is on Highway 94, and basically what it will tell you is the time to 101 it's going to be, and it doesn't have a thing on here, but the typical time actually was 9 minutes, so that there was no delay. So if people driving that route all the time, they saw the 9 minutes, and if all of a sudden up to 20, they knew they had a problem coming. This one here was actually located about 20 miles away from the Hastings Bridge, but everybody knew where the Hastings Bridge was. That's a bit major bottleneck in town. We had the thing closed down to one lane for a while. So what this is telling you is when you get the Hastings Bridge, you're going to have a 25-minute delay. It only got up to that a few times because there was an alternate route that took them an extra 20 miles out of the way. There isn't that many crossings for the Minnesota or Mississippi River, and but people would see when this thing was getting up to about 20-25 minutes that they would drive the extra 20 miles the other route and go around. It would work out great for us. Excessive speed warning. We've used this in a couple different places. I actually talk about an application of this later on. This is radar activated. It would only come on when cars were over a certain speed. So it was generally, in this particular case, the work zone speed limit right in that area was 45 miles an hour, and it kicked on if they were doing more than 55. It was on 35W, and that thing was on just about all the time. So it wasn't a great place, but we had reasons to put it out in that spot because there was a sharp curve up there. We had a temporary bridge for the construction area, and they used pile bent pier between the lanes with very little protection. When we saw that, we panicked and we said we've got to slow people down going through this sharp curve. Mainly because this was about 4 months after the 35W bridge farther down the road had fallen into the river. I think you've all heard about that. So anyway, we didn't want another bridge going down by a truck hitting the pier or something like that. So we put this in. It actually worked to a point. It slowed people down to a manageable speed. Nobody hit the pier. And traffic surveillance. We've got portable cameras that we put up in traffic zones when we need it, especially when we've knocked out our existing ones. Our normal system in the Twin Cities area is about 320 cameras, covering about 260 miles of highway. And then we've got about 85 message boards. And actually, these stats are probably a year or so old. They're all probably a little higher right now. But whenever we knock out one of those things during construction, for some reason, we can replace with portable ones. And that's all considered ITS as far as we're concerned. Stop traffic warning. This is a system that we've used a few times along the way. We're planning on putting in a major project this summer with one. Basically, these signs are put up about every mile, and if the traffic comes to a crawl, it doesn't have to come to a complete stop. If it's dropped down to about 20 or 30 miles an hour, the sign before that cue will kick in. It will actually have a couple flashing lights above it, and the lights will start flashing at that point. And there'll be several of these things going back a series of, I think the farthest we did was about 6 miles of sign, with only 6 signs going back, but one every mile. But as the queue builds up from the construction area, the signs turn on to go back. And then train and exiting the day. The traffic issues are one half of the thing that obviously everybody's talked about everything that's gone on in my presentation so far today from one angle or another, as far as sight distance, line curves. People have to be able to see where these trucks are coming into the traffic and leaving the traffic. If you have a high speed, high traffic area, you have no gaps in the traffic for trucks to pull into or out of, or having slow down is difficult. Stopping the traffic is really impractical and unsafe. We end up having the tailgating problems. Obviously, everybody's talking about here the motorists following the trucks into the workspace. If the trucks have to slow down too fast to try to pull off the road, we end up having panic stops because we get people tailgating behind. The main thing is the motorist needs as much information as possible as far as what's going on up ahead. The work zone issue part of it is we have to try to design in acceleration, deceleration lanes. Normally they're either short or non-existent out there. The signage, Michael brought up all these different points. It's kind of hard to even go over this, say it all over again. But as far as saying where the sign should be put, we have problems as far as these entrances on projects end up changing daily. It depends on how the project is staged out there. So they're always being moved around. The signs themselves are vague. You know, it says trucks entering, or trucks hauling, or trucks crossing. And then it's up for 24/7, regardless if there's a truck coming or not. People tend to kind of ignore the sign, especially if they drive through that area day after day. That sign is there every day. Last night I was driving down Central Florida Boulevard down here, and the last couple of days, that same sign is up on the one project down there. I haven't seen a truck yet, so I'm assuming that the project is not going on. I guess, I don't know, but the sign actually looks pretty old too, so I think it's been sitting there for a while. Flagging operations are another problem. They work best when you have low traffic volumes and you've got a lot of trucks going in and out, or at least a moderate amount, I'll say. If you don't have enough trucks out there, if you've got 1 to 2 of these a day, you got a truck that's delivering something, odds are you're not going to have somebody go on and throw on their vest and all the proper stuff in order to get out there and stop traffic for them to get it in and out. You're going to going to end up doing it in the proper way. They're going to go out there and wave their hands and try to slow people down or whatever they have to do. So you have to have at least a certain amount of trucks before people obey the rules and have the figures up there outfitted the way they're supposed to be. Main thing is try to get the real and accurate information out there. Like I said, the signs are up there all the time. We never take them down at night or anything else, so you have a real-time problem. I'm going to try to go through quickly here 3 examples of that we use in Minnesota for intelligent work zones in this area. Obviously, trucks exiting, you end up having the exit deceleration lane is one way, and then without it, where they have to actually slow down in traffic, is the other problem. We had a major project, I-94 or I-694 and 35E in the northern part of the Twin Cities. It's unweaved the weave. We've had the freeways crossing, and it's been a major project. Actually, just finished now, but it was a 4-year construction project going on, and that's where the top picture is from. They were having problems. It was a major dirt job. They actually had to move a whole lot of dirt in and out of that area. The trucks had a tough time coming off the freeway. It was a very wide median. They were working between the medians of 35E, and they had a tough time trying to slow down the trucks to get pulled into the median with belly dumps. They had the acceleration lane, but they still had problems with cars falling in behind them or attempting to, or otherwise just falling so close that they don't get partway in and have to move back out. What we ended up doing is just putting up the sign, change the message sign, trucks exiting, I think it was 800 feet, do not follow trucks. Now, I would like to say that this one was intelligent, that it came on only when the trucks were going by. Fortunately, it was the first time we put one of these things in. It wasn't that smart, but it was smart enough that, I should say the contractor was smart enough that he only turned the thing on during the time of day that he was hauling. He turned it off when the trucks weren't out there in the hauling operation. So at least he was using his own intelligence on this part of the deal. We did put up signs as far as construction vehicles only. It cleared up a lot of the problems. Trucks entering traffic, same project. You see he's behind the concrete barrier up here. As he gets down to the end, he had to come out and merge into the traffic. What we ended up doing, well, this is another case here where they just pull out into the traffic. Just another problem as far as trucks entering. But as far as our IWZ system, the trucks entering, what we ended up doing is putting in a microwave sensor right here. This is alongside the haul road inside. And when the truck went past that, it triggered this sign on. The sign would be black until it came with the truck. What we were finding out, very unscientific. We didn't measure anything except that we stood on out of the way and watched it for a while. And when that sign kicked on and people could see this truck coming up along here, these guys, well, this obviously he's in the wrong lane, but most of these guys would move over. You know, it was working out really pretty good. Obviously, if traffic was backed up in both lanes, we weren't getting much help, but at least it still warned people that that truck was going to try to come out. And for the most part, they gave them room to move out. Most of the people actually just tried to move over and give them room because they didn't really want to get behind the truck. Trucks crossing is another problem. We don't run across very often. But on this would be like we go across ramps. Every once in a while, freeway ramps, we're hauling from one side to the other. We end up putting a flagger out here. Occasionally, we end up going across a two-lane, two-way road. We end up having two flaggers. A double lane operation is pretty rare, but we would have the one system here would handle that. The main problem we have is, again, like I said, the flaggers have to be out there whenever the trucks are going and have to be ready for them. The intelligent work zone system that we used was a portable signal system, and each one of these, I don't know, you got a fancy name for the big dump trucks. What? Okay, off-road truck. Okay. They all had buttons in them. Right? No, actually, it's not that one. What they had is back farther. They triggered a loop detector in the whole road, so that they would get a green light every time they're going across and stop traffic. This was actually a county road. We had a major highway being constructed not too far beyond this thing, kind of running parallel. And in the haul pit that they had to come from, they had to go across the county road in order to get over to our construction area. So this was actually on county road. It was not high volume traffic, but it was enough that the trucks didn't want to stop for cars. And so they put this thing up. It worked out really well. The off-road trucks never had to stop. They slowed down to make sure the cars were really going to pay attention to the signals, but had no problem there. The other situation would be trucks trying to cross a two-lane two-way, but this is a very low-volume roadway down here, and the trucks actually just had a yield to go across, and when they came up, there was a sensor on the side road that kicked on the changeable message sign as far as trucks crossing ahead. Be prepared to stop. If this road had been any higher volume, probably would have put a flagger out there, or two flaggers, but it was very, very low volume highway. The last thing I wanted to get into is combining intelligent work zone systems. The messages that we put out on the changeable message signs have a very wide range of importance as far as what the message is. We can put out general information, which is just travel time, delay time, things like that. And if this message disappeared, it really wouldn't hurt anybody. They wouldn't know that it's going to take 15 minutes or whatever, but it's not life or death information. The instructional information, the next one, that would be like the dynamic late merge type system, telling them to use both lanes. If the message wasn't there, they'd do whatever they used to do without one of those systems out there. They'd follow the other orange signs, they'd merge, and whatever. The system, it would still work. It's important information. It makes things run a little bit smoother, but it's still not life-threatening. The hazard one is more important in that that's to stop traffic ahead. It's giving them warning about things that are going to happen. If we do have a system, if there's water over the road, it will kick in, or if there's smoke, fog type systems that they kick in. A little bit more important to let people know what's going on. And then the driver warning system is where that particular car or truck is doing something wrong. It's either going too fast for the conditions, so it won't be able to make the curve correctly, or it's too high, it's going to hit the bridge, or whatever. So, I mean, that is a high priority system at that point. And actually, the turn off should have been the first thing. When there's nothing going on, we prefer if these things are turned off. Well, now, as far as intelligent work zones are concerned, detection and communication are pretty much the same for just about any of these kinds of systems. I mean, most of them are radar or just presence detection. So these things can be doing multiple type systems it's detected, they can sort it out and put out the proper message, and the messages can change according to the priorities, which listed up above. What we had on one project was a try to explain this thing. Highway 10 is up in the northern part of our state, Detroit Lake area. It was under construction. It's a 4-lane divided highway. It was under construction through the summer, and it was totally ripped out right in one area. They had to go down to the frontage road. Had to leave it that way for the wintertime. So people are doing 65 miles an hour, and all of a sudden they're stuck onto a 2-lane, 2-way, 30-mile-an-hour road. It was not too safe. We had people barreling in there, not slowing down. They had all these reduced speed signs, things, but it wasn't. They weren't paying attention. So the project engineer came to us and said, "Hey, we need a reduced speed ahead, sign." We got the system out there, and at the same time, you can see there's these are two pictures basically the same area looking from different directions. This side here is actually right up there. There's a retaining wall in here, and there's really not a whole lot of space between the edge line and the retaining wall. I mean, it's going to be eventually just a little frontage road, so it's not really a high design area. Problem is, when we try to come in there with the snowplow trucks for the winter time, we've got pretty wide plows on our trucks, and they don't want to stretch up this brand new retaining wall, but they're trying to get in there as close as they can. So a lot of times they end up going in there a couple different passes, and they're actually crowded. Well, they have no place to store the snow on the retaining wall side. So they got to try to push it to the center line, and then they got to try to push it off to the other side of the road. And they're on the wrong side of the road a lot of times. So as long as they're putting in the system, they decided that it was time to put in a snowplow ahead system too. And this is where they put in a button. It's basically a radio frequency transmitter on 4 of our plow trucks. Only 4 because there's only 4 of them working in that particular area. And he basically had to push the button to activate it because he didn't want to have it running all the time. But once that thing is turned on, if he's within a half mile of the sign kicks on as far as snow removal ahead. Drive with care. Now, this is actually looking at the frontage road from the other end. This sign and the other one that I show, this one here, are about a half mile apart. The other one is down this road, just out of the picture. So basically, once it turns on the system, it activates the first one he's coming to, and by the time he's getting down to the other end, the other one's kicked on too. Now, if somebody, this one here is normally off. Actually, both of them are normally off if there's nobody around. This one here is only used for the snow removal, and the one on the other end would have the snow removal message come up, and if somebody was speeding coming in there, it would automatically kick back to this message. So this one would override the snowplow message, and so it turned out worked out great. It made all the newspapers up north. It was one of those fantastic things. That I've never seen anything like that before. But it's not your typical truck egress type problem, but it's definitely a truck problem out in the roadway dealing with traffic. So I figured I'd throw this thing in. We don't really end up having a whole lot of problems, just like Marilyn was talking about, that it's not a situation that we come across and have to deal with too often. So pulling up a few examples here is the best I can do. As far as benefits of these systems, we reduced the traffic conflicts. We improved the operations. We have fewer incidences. The project that we had, the entering and exiting on our Unweave the Weed project, we paid for that the first summer. And the contractor liked it so much that he put it in himself the next summer without any added cost to us. So it was, he saw the benefits of being able to get his trucks out on the road and get them off the road faster. Now, I mean, the positions of this thing was changing over the 2 summers, so they weren't in the same places, and we didn't really see as big a benefit the second summer as far as where the entrances were going to be. But the contractor still saw that he had a big plus as far as his trucks being able to pull in and out of traffic, that he said, I'm going to put it in anyhow. So it really did come out good as far as Minnesota was concerned. We see that people are paying attention to these things. These signs are real-time information. They believe them. And that is the biggest plus we have out there. Signs that we leave up for more than a couple days with some message on, people kind of say, I've seen that already, I don't have to read it again. So that's our biggest plus. That's the information where you can get the toolbox is online, the FHWA's book, and ATS's book, and my information below. Get a hold of me. Try to answer phone messages as much as possible.